Tonight, while the room grows quiet and your body begins to release the weight of the day, I want you to listen to an idea that Jewish wisdom has carried through generations. Your financial life is shaped by far more than the amount of money that enters your hands. It is shaped by the way you think about money, the way you earn it, the way you preserve it, the way you spend it, the way you give it, the people you become connected to through it, and the person you slowly become while pursuing it. Many people spend years searching for one secret that will suddenly make them prosperous. They work longer hours, chase opportunities, watch what wealthy people buy, worry about every bill, compare their progress with everyone around them, and sometimes carry that anxiety all the way into bed. Jewish wisdom offers a quieter approach. It asks you to become responsible before becoming impressive. It asks you to build before announcing. It asks you to respect money without worshiping it. It asks you to create value, protect what you earn, strengthen your character, invest in knowledge, cultivate trustworthy relationships, give with wisdom, and remember that your livelihood should serve your life rather than consume it. Tonight, you can simply listen. You do not have to force yourself to remember every sentence. Some ideas may stay with you consciously, while others may return tomorrow when you are making a decision about work, spending, saving, giving, or opportunity. And if this kind of Jewish wisdom helps you think more clearly about prosperity, subscribe to the channel so you can continue receiving these long, thoughtful reflections on money, faith, discipline, purpose, and the principles that can help you build a more stable life. Now allow the day to become quieter. There is no financial decision you need to solve in this exact moment. You can listen without pressure. A useful place to begin is with the meaning of money itself. Jewish thought has never required a person to treat material resources as inherently shameful. Money can feed a family, educate a child, build a business, support a community, care for someone who is struggling, fund a school, create employment, purchase time, protect dignity, and allow a person to contribute to causes larger than himself. The same money can also feed vanity, addiction to status, manipulation, irresponsibility, and endless comparison. Money therefore carries power, and power requires direction. Imagine holding fire in your hands. Fire can warm a home, cook food, illuminate darkness, and power an entire system when properly controlled. Fire can also destroy what took decades to build. Wisdom begins when you respect the force without becoming fascinated by the force itself. Money deserves a similar kind of respect. A person can spend his entire life trying to prove that he has money, and in the process become a servant of appearances. Another person can treat money as a useful instrument, directing it toward things that continue producing value long after the original dollar has left his hand. This distinction becomes increasingly important as income grows. A higher income can improve a life when it creates security, freedom, generosity, education, and useful options. The same income can create a larger prison when every increase is immediately converted into a more expensive lifestyle that must constantly be maintained. Many people experience this without recognizing it. Their income rises, then their car becomes more expensive. Their home becomes more expensive, their vacations become more expensive, their expectations become more expensive. Their social circle begins expecting a certain image. Eventually, the person who once dreamed of earning that amount discovers that he feels almost as financially anxious as before. His numbers became larger while his margin remained small. Jewish financial wisdom repeatedly returns to responsibility because responsibility creates margin. When you live beneath what you could spend, you create space. That space can become savings. It can become investment. It can become protection against emergencies. It can become the freedom to refuse work that violates your values. It can become the ability to help someone. It can become time. It can become patience. It can become opportunity. A person with margin can make decisions from a calmer place because every unexpected expense does not immediately become a crisis. There is profound dignity in reaching a point where your financial life contains room to breathe. This usually grows through ordinary decisions repeated for years. Prosperity often looks dramatic from the outside and remarkably ordinary from the inside. Someone sees a successful business and notices the building, the employees, the customers, and the visible signs of success. The owner may remember thousands of less visible choices, including expenses he refused, skills he learned, mistakes he survived, money he preserved, relationships he protected, and years when the business looked unimpressive. Durable wealth frequently grows beneath the surface before other people recognize it. That is one reason privacy can be useful. There is no requirement to tell everyone what you are building. There is no requirement to announce every financial goal, every investment, every business idea, every plan for the future, or every improvement you have made. Some goals benefit from being discussed with a spouse, partner, mentor, accountant, advisor, or trusted friend. Wisdom includes knowing who belongs inside the conversation. Public attention and useful counsel are very different things. When you tell your plans to everyone, you invite reactions from people who may know nothing about your circumstances, your responsibilities, your temperament, or the work behind your decision. Their excitement can make you reckless. Their skepticism can make you timid. Their envy can make the relationship uncomfortable. Their praise can make you feel successful before anything has actually been accomplished. Silence can protect concentration. It can also protect humility. There is a particular satisfaction that comes from speaking about a goal, because the brain receives social recognition before the work has been completed. You can feel as though you have advanced merely because people admired the plan. A quieter person reserves that emotional reward for execution. He allows actions to accumulate. He allows evidence to accumulate. He allows competence to accumulate. Over time, his life begins speaking on his behalf. Jewish culture has long placed enormous importance on deeds. Intention matters deeply, yet intention seeks expression through action. A financial intention therefore becomes meaningful when it begins shaping behavior. If you want greater stability, the intention may become a budget, a savings transfer, a conversation with your spouse, a reduction in unnecessary spending, or an effort to develop a more valuable skill. If you want to become generous, the intention may become a consistent practice of giving. If you want a better business, the intention may become improved service, clearer accounting, stronger systems, better hiring, or deeper understanding of your customers. If you want more income, the intention may become a serious study of what value people will willingly pay you to create. Quiet intention becomes powerful through repeated action. This brings us to one of the most practical financial lessons a person can learn. What you earn and what you keep are separate matters. A remarkable amount of money can pass through someone's hands without producing lasting wealth. Imagine two people who earn the same amount for 10 years. One repeatedly spends almost everything that arrives. Each raise becomes a reason to upgrade the lifestyle. Debt fills the gaps. Savings remain small because saving happens only when something is left at the end of the month. The other person creates a deliberate gap between earning and spending. Some money remains available for emergencies. Some becomes long-term investment. Some is used to increase knowledge and capability. Some is given. Some is enjoyed. 10 years later, their salaries may have been similar while their financial positions are completely different. The difference emerged from allocation. Allocation is one of the quiet languages of priorities. You can often learn what someone truly values by seeing where his money consistently goes. A person may say that security matters while spending every available dollar. He may say education matters while refusing to spend anything on learning. He may say generosity matters while giving only what he never notices. He may say family matters while building a career that leaves no presents for his family. Money reveals trade-offs. Time reveals trade-offs as well. Jewish wisdom asks a person to examine both because a life is built from limited resources. Every yes contains an invisible no. Every dollar committed to one purpose becomes unavailable for another purpose. Every hour devoted to one activity disappears from something else. Mature financial thinking therefore requires deliberate choice. You begin asking better questions. What am I buying with this expense beyond the object itself? What recurring obligation does this purchase create? How many hours of future work will be required to maintain it? What opportunity am I giving up? What value will remain after the excitement fades? These questions slow impulsive consumption without forcing a person into deprivation. Enjoyment has a legitimate place in a healthy financial life. Jewish life contains celebration, meals, family gatherings, beauty, hospitality, and moments when material things support joy and connection. Responsible enjoyment becomes easier when it exists inside a larger structure. A person who has saved, invested, given, met his obligations, and planned carefully can enjoy what remains with greater peace. The purchase carries less guilt because it does not threaten something more important. This is one reason financial order can increase enjoyment. Chaos forces every pleasure to compete with anxiety. Order gives pleasure a proper place. You can begin creating that order by giving money assignments. The exact percentages will vary according to income, family size, debt, location, responsibilities, and goals. The underlying discipline remains useful. Some money sustains daily life, some protects the future, some builds the future, some serves others, some allows enjoyment. A child can even begin learning this concept with a few simple containers. When a child receives money, dividing it between saving, giving, investing, and spending teaches something far deeper than arithmetic. It teaches delayed gratification. It teaches purpose. It teaches that receiving money does not create an immediate obligation to consume it. It teaches that generosity can be planned. It teaches that future needs deserve consideration. It teaches that money can become productive. Imagine learning these lessons at 8 years old and repeating them for 20 years. By adulthood, financial discipline feels less like punishment and more like normal behavior. This illustrates one of the strengths of education through practice. A principle heard once can be forgotten. A principle embodied repeatedly becomes part of character. Parents who want financially capable children therefore have an opportunity to teach through small decisions rather than waiting until adulthood to explain large ones. A child can save towards something he wants. He can choose how to spend a small amount. He can occasionally make a poor choice and experience the disappointment. That small mistake may be worth more than a lecture because consequences teach directly. Controlled autonomy helps judgment mature. The same is true for adults. Many financial mistakes become useful tuition when the person studies them, rather than hiding from them. Perhaps you bought something to impress people and regretted it. Perhaps you invested in something you did not understand. Perhaps you trusted someone too quickly. Perhaps you kept a business expense long after it stopped producing value. Perhaps you accepted debt without considering the future pressure. The useful question becomes simple. What principle can this mistake teach me? Shame often produces avoidance. Responsibility produces learning. A person who can look at his own numbers without self-deception becomes increasingly difficult to destroy financially because he corrects course earlier. This is why knowing your expenses matters. Vague anxiety frequently grows around vague numbers. Someone says money always disappears and cannot explain where. That uncertainty makes the problem feel mysterious. When every expense becomes visible, the mystery starts shrinking. You can see subscriptions, food delivery, interest, transport, entertainment, fees, impulse purchases, housing, insurance, and dozens of small leaks. Some expenses will be worth every dollar. Others will look absurd when seen together. Awareness creates choice. The same principle applies to business. Revenue can feel impressive while profit remains weak. A company can sell millions and still struggle because operating costs consume everything. A business owner who focuses only on sales can mistake movement for health. Jewish wisdom's emphasis on stewardship encourages looking at what remains and what the resources are actually accomplishing. Every expense should have a reason. Every employee should have a purpose. Every system should contribute to the mission. Growth deserves evaluation because larger does not always mean healthier. Consider a business owner with 5 employees whose operation functions beautifully. Customers are satisfied. Profits are strong. Employees understand their roles. The owner then becomes fascinated with appearing larger. He adds people, office space, software, managers, and complexity because successful businesses are supposed to look substantial. Revenue rises a little. Expenses rise dramatically. Meetings multiply. Problems multiply. The owner now works longer hours managing the machine he created. He has enlarged the vessel beyond what the purpose required. A better question would have been how much structure is necessary to deliver excellent value and achieve the intended financial purpose. This idea of the vessel is especially meaningful within the religious perspective found in Jewish teachings about livelihood. Human beings are expected to act responsibly in the world. They work, trade, build, learn, negotiate, create, and pursue opportunity. At the same time, a person of faith remembers the limits of control. Skill does not guarantee health. Effort does not guarantee timing. Intelligence does not guarantee opportunity. A brilliant business can encounter circumstances no owner predicted. A modest business can encounter an opportunity no spreadsheet could have promised. Faith gives a person a way to act seriously without pretending that he commands every variable. Some Jewish teachers have described human effort as a vessel through which livelihood can arrive. The practical wisdom inside that image deserves reflection. A cup can receive water, yet making the cup endlessly larger does not create the water. In financial life, responsible effort creates capacity. Excessive effort can eventually create complexity that adds little value. The person who believes every additional hour guarantees additional prosperity may sacrifice sleep, marriage, health, children, community, study, and peace, while discovering that his income does not rise proportionally. Many highly paid people work fewer hours than people who earn far less. The difference can involve skill, ownership, leverage, capital, demand, systems, reputation, scarcity of expertise, and the scale at which their decisions operate. Working hard remains honorable. Working intelligently gives hard work direction. If your income depends completely on selling 1 hour of your time for one fixed amount, your day contains a natural ceiling. Increasing income may eventually require improving the value of the hour, building a system, developing a rare skill, creating a product, acquiring ownership, serving more people simultaneously, delegating responsibly, or making better decisions. This is why education can function as capital. A useful skill travels with you. Knowledge can repeatedly generate value without being consumed by a single transaction. Judgment can save you from mistakes that would cost far more than the education itself. A mentor can compress years of trial and error into a conversation. Books can introduce you to decisions made across generations. Jewish communities historically placed extraordinary cultural value on learning, questioning, interpretation, and study. That orientation contains an economic lesson, even when the subject being studied has nothing to do with business. A mind trained to ask questions becomes harder to deceive. A mind trained to examine arguments becomes more capable of distinguishing opportunity from excitement. A mind comfortable with learning can adapt when industries change. Your current knowledge produced part of your current reality. Greater results may require greater capability. This observation is especially useful when someone feels trapped financially. The immediate instinct may be to search for a second job. Sometimes that is exactly what circumstances require. Another useful question asks which skill could meaningfully raise earning power over the next several years. Someone earning a modest wage may gain temporary relief by adding 10 more hours of work each week. He may gain a fundamentally different future by using a portion of those hours to acquire a skill that the market values far more highly. The correct decision depends on urgency, responsibilities, opportunity, and resources. Wisdom examines the horizon as well as the present. This is where patience becomes economically valuable. Impatience makes expensive promises attractive. Get rich quickly. Double your money. Buy this secret. Enter before everyone else. Borrow now because the opportunity will disappear. People under financial pressure can become especially vulnerable because urgency weakens judgment. A calm person can investigate. He can ask what incentives the seller has. He can ask how the investment produces returns. He can ask what can go wrong. He can ask what evidence exists. He can walk away. The ability to say no is one of the least celebrated forms of financial strength. Every opportunity has a cost, and some of the best financial decisions involve refusing opportunities. Silence helps here as well. When you stop needing to impress people with your decisions, you gain permission to choose boring things, boring savings, boring diversified investments, Boring insurance, boring accounting, boring debt repayment, boring consistency. Spectacular stories attract attention because spectacular stories are unusual. Financial stability frequently grows from behavior too repetitive to become entertainment. Month after month, the person spends less than he earns. Month after month, he invests. Month after month, he develops skill. Month after month, he protects his reputation. Month after month, he avoids catastrophic mistakes. Eventually, compounding turns patience into something visible. Compounding applies beyond money. Reputation compounds. Skill compounds. Relationships compound. Trust compounds. Health habits compound. A person who becomes slightly more competent every year may look transformed after a decade. A person who treats people reliably for 20 years may possess a network that cannot be purchased overnight. This brings us to community. Individualism often teaches people to imagine prosperity as a solitary achievement. Real economic life is deeply relational. Customers trust businesses. Employers trust employees. Employees trust employers. Partners trust one another. Investors trust managers. Lenders trust borrowers. Families coordinate resources. Friends share information. Mentors introduce opportunities. Communities support institutions. Reputation moves through these networks. Trust lowers friction. When people believe you will do what you promised, opportunities become easier to create. Jewish communal life has long emphasized mutual responsibility, charity, education, family, and networks of support. These practices carry social as well as spiritual consequences. A person who becomes known as reliable, generous, competent, and fair is building something difficult to place on a balance sheet. He is building social capital. Imagine two equally skilled professionals. One treats every interaction as a transaction. He helps only when immediate profit exists. He disappears when someone no longer benefits him. He exaggerates promises. He takes credit freely. The other person performs excellent work, keeps his word, introduces people who could help each other, shares useful information, acknowledges contributions, pays fairly, and remembers that relationships continue after the invoice. Over many years, their economic worlds may diverge dramatically. People recommend the second person when he is absent. They bring him opportunities. They trust him with sensitive information. They want him involved. Reputation has begun working while he is elsewhere. Integrity, therefore, carries commercial value while remaining a moral obligation. Doing the right thing only because it is profitable would be fragile ethics. Yet ethical behavior often creates conditions in which durable commerce can flourish. A customer who feels respected returns. A partner who trusts the numbers can make decisions faster. An employee who trusts leadership can focus on work rather than politics. Reliability has an economic multiplier. Deception carries a multiplier too. One dishonest transaction can produce immediate gain and long-term damage that the dishonest person never fully sees. The lost recommendation never arrives to explain itself. The potential partner quietly chooses someone else. The customer never returns. Reputation leaks silently. This is why money earned honestly tends to be appreciated differently. When you know the labor, judgment, risk, patience, and service that produced $1, waste begins feeling more expensive. A small, unnecessary purchase can represent a piece of your time. Respect for money grows naturally when money is connected with effort and purpose. Frugality then becomes stewardship. Stewardship does not require becoming obsessed with every coin. Obsession can become another form of bondage. Stewardship means resources receive attention because resources can accomplish something. The person who throws away useful things simply because replacements are affordable may gradually train himself to disrespect what he has. The person who refuses every pleasure because he fears tomorrow may train himself into scarcity. Wisdom lives between carelessness and fear. You can care for what you own while remaining emotionally free from it. This emotional freedom becomes especially important as wealth increases. Money attracts attention. Attention can become confusing because you may begin wondering whether people value you or what you can provide. Wealthy individuals sometimes experience profound loneliness precisely because resources make certain relationships ambiguous. A person who constantly pays, provides access, gives gifts, funds lifestyles, or creates opportunities can struggle to know whether affection would remain without those benefits. This problem becomes more dangerous when self-worth is weak. Someone who desperately needs validation may unconsciously purchase it. He may keep unnecessary employees because their dependence makes him feel important. He may support friends whose admiration exists only while benefits continue. He may choose romantic relationships where money secures attention. He may build an expensive lifestyle because the reaction of strangers temporarily makes him feel significant. The cost of low self-worth can therefore appear directly in financial statements. Jewish spiritual thought offers a powerful counterweight through the idea that human worth precedes economic achievement. A person created with dignity and moral responsibility does not have to earn the right to exist through status. Your bank account can change dramatically without changing the fundamental worth of your life. Your career can change. Your business can fail. Your title can disappear. Your possessions can be lost. When identity rests entirely on these unstable things, every financial setback becomes an existential threat. You feel that losing money means losing yourself. A more stable identity allows you to experience financial loss as a serious event without converting it into a verdict on your human value. This makes recovery easier because shame no longer consumes all available energy. You can look at reality. You can ask what happened. You can seek help. You can start again. There is a related teaching in Jewish ethics that asks who can truly be called rich and connects richness with appreciating one's portion. This idea is frequently misunderstood when people imagine it as an argument against ambition. Contentment and ambition can coexist. You can appreciate what you have while working toward more. In fact, gratitude can make ambition healthier because the future no longer carries the impossible burden of finally making you worthy. You can pursue growth from a place of usefulness rather than desperation. A person who believes one more promotion, one more million, one more property, or one more symbol of status will finally make him enough can spend decades moving the finish line. Each achievement creates temporary relief. Adaptation arrives quickly. The next benchmark appears. Gratitude interrupts this cycle. It teaches you to register what already exists. A home that once represented a dream can become invisible after a few years. A salary that once seemed extraordinary can become ordinary. A healthy body can become unnoticed until illness appears. A loving family can become background noise until distance or loss reveals its value. Gratitude restores perception. This does not increase the number in your bank account by magic. It can dramatically improve the quality of the life being financed by that account. Gratitude can also improve decision-making because a person who feels less desperate for external proof can resist status purchases more easily. He can keep the older car. He can remain in the smaller home. He can ignore the trend. He can invest instead. He can give instead. He can take a day with his family instead. He can choose according to values because comparison has less control over him. Comparison is expensive. Social media has made this obvious. You can now compare your ordinary Tuesday with someone's most polished moment from another country. Their vacation, car, restaurant, house, clothing, body, business milestone, and apparent freedom enter your mind within minutes. You rarely see the debt, anxiety, family conflict, failed investments, exhaustion, or insecurity behind the image. Even when the wealth is completely genuine, their life still provides poor instructions for yours because their obligations, goals, resources, and temperament differ. Jewish wisdom directs attention toward your responsibilities. What has been placed in your hands? Who depends on you? What kind of person are you becoming? What can you contribute? Those questions return power to your own life. You can admire someone's success without needing to reproduce his possessions. You can study what is useful without envying the outcome. Envy wastes attention on another person's allocation of resources. Learning converts that attention into information. If someone has built something admirable, ask what habits, skills, decisions, relationships, or principles contributed. Study the process. The external symbol becomes less important than the capability that produced it. This is where mentorship becomes valuable. Learning from someone who has already traveled part of the path can save enormous time. A good mentor may notice risks you cannot yet see because experience has trained his pattern recognition. He can also challenge fantasies. Beginners often underestimate difficulty because they cannot see the invisible work. Experienced people can reveal what the journey actually demands. Choose mentors carefully. Wealth alone does not prove wisdom. Someone may be financially successful and destructive in marriage, health, ethics, or character. Another may have inherited resources without understanding how they were created. Look for people whose results and methods you respect. Ask whether you would want the life surrounding the success. A mentor's character matters because advice carries assumptions about what should be sacrificed. Your definition of prosperity should be broad enough to protect you from winning one game by destroying everything else. Imagine a person who builds a tremendous company and loses his health, marriage, children, faith, and peace. The financial achievement may be real. The total balance of the life becomes harder to admire. Money serves life best when it remains inside a hierarchy of values. There may be seasons of intense work. Entrepreneurs sometimes endure demanding periods. Parents sometimes sacrifice comfort. Families sometimes temporarily reduce leisure to survive difficult circumstances. Wisdom distinguishes a season from an identity. Work can become addictive because it offers measurable proof. Emails answered, revenue generated, deals closed, problems solved. Family life offers less immediate measurement. Faith offers less visible measurement. Health habits may reward slowly. Work, therefore, becomes an easy place to hide. A person can call himself responsible while avoiding relationships that require vulnerability. Overwork can sometimes be fear wearing respectable clothing. Ask what the additional work is accomplishing. Perhaps it is genuinely necessary. Perhaps the family needs income. Perhaps the company faces an emergency. Perhaps an opportunity has a limited window. Then the work has purpose. Perhaps the extra hours exist because stopping makes you anxious. Perhaps you no longer know who you are without productivity. Perhaps the business has expanded beyond what your actual goals require. Purpose clarifies the difference. One practical exercise is to reverse engineer your financial life. Begin with what you are trying to support. Housing, food, health, education, family, savings, retirement, giving, meaningful experiences, community, business goals. Then estimate what those purposes reasonably require. From there, examine what kind of income and economic structure can support them. You may discover that your present ambitions make sense. You may also discover that you are carrying unnecessary complexity because you never defined enough. The concept of enough is financially revolutionary. Without an internal definition, culture will define it for you, and culture has an endless catalog. There will always be a larger house, rarer watch, newer car, more exclusive experience, more prestigious neighborhood, and higher social tier. Enough creates a boundary. Beyond that boundary, additional wealth can serve other purposes rather than constantly inflating consumption. This is where generosity enters the financial worldview. Jewish tradition gives tzedakah a central place. The word carries a connection with justice and righteousness, which gives Jewish giving a distinctive moral dimension. Giving becomes part of responsibility toward others, rather than a decorative act performed only after every personal desire has been satisfied. This can reshape how a person experiences ownership. Resources remain in your hands, and your choices about them carry consequences beyond yourself. Generosity can also loosen the grip of scarcity when practiced wisely. A frightened mind tends to clutch everything because every departure feels dangerous. Deliberate giving reminds you that money can move through your life toward meaningful purposes. This should never become financial recklessness. A person who cannot meet essential obligations may need to structure giving carefully. Wisdom does not require theatrical generosity that creates preventable harm for dependents. The deeper principle concerns becoming a person whose prosperity expands usefulness. Ask what becomes possible for others when your resources grow. This question gives ambition a moral direction. If you become more successful, perhaps you can employ people well. Perhaps you can support education. Perhaps you can assist parents. Perhaps you can fund community institutions. Perhaps you can help someone through a difficult season. Perhaps you can invest in businesses that create value. Perhaps you can give anonymously. Perhaps you can become the person who quietly solves a problem that once seemed impossible to solve. Generosity is strongest when joined with judgment. Giving money to an ineffective organization can produce less good than careful allocation. Jewish wisdom values intention, and responsibility asks what the gift actually accomplishes. A donor can ask how an organization uses resources, what outcomes it produces, whether leadership is competent, whether spending reflects priorities, and whether additional money can create additional impact. This is similar to investing, even when the return is measured through human benefit rather than financial profit. A nonprofit should respect donor money because trust has been placed in its hands. A fundraiser should be able to explain what resources will accomplish. Desperation may produce one gift. Credibility can produce a relationship. The same principle appears in business. Customers want evidence that value will be delivered. Trust grows when promises match experience. Long-term prosperity favors repeated relationships because acquiring trust again and again is expensive. A person who serves people exceptionally well benefits from memory. Customers return. Employees stay. Partners call again. This is an economic form of compounding. Service also protects a person from becoming obsessed with money itself. When the only question is how much can I extract, customers become targets. When the question includes how much value can I create, profit becomes connected to usefulness. Healthy businesses often exist because they solve problems people genuinely care about. The larger or more painful the problem, the more valuable an excellent solution can become. If you want to increase income, study problems. Observe inconvenience. Observe fear. Observe wasted time. Observe confusion. Observe expensive inefficiency. Observe desires people consistently pay to satisfy. Then develop the capability to solve those problems ethically. Opportunity becomes easier to recognize when you stop staring only at money and begin studying value. Money often follows value through systems of exchange. The connection is imperfect because economies contain inequality, luck, structural advantages, timing, inheritance, and countless other factors. Still, creating useful value remains one of the most reliable directions for productive work. The pursuit of value can guide career development too. Ask which problems your employer trusts you to solve. Ask which decisions become easier because you are there. Ask whether you can take responsibility for increasingly important outcomes. Compensation often rises when a person's contribution becomes harder to replace, easier to measure, or more consequential. This encourages learning beyond the minimum. A person can treat his job as a transaction in which he gives the least possible effort for a paycheck. Another can treat the same period as paid training, learning systems, communication, sales, operations, leadership, technical skills, and customer psychology. Years later, the second person may possess capabilities far beyond the original role. The salary paid for his labor while experience quietly accumulated as another form of compensation. This mindset becomes especially powerful when paired with patience. You do not need every effort to pay immediately. Some investments mature slowly. Education may take years. Reputation may take decades. Relationships may produce no measurable return for a long time, and trying to calculate every friendship destroys friendship itself. Character develops through repeated choices whose value becomes visible under pressure. The desire for instant financial evidence can cause people to abandon good processes too early. They begin saving for 3 months and become frustrated because they are still far from wealthy. They start a business and expect immediate scale. They invest and monitor every movement. They learn a skill for a few weeks and conclude that it does not work. Nature teaches patience without needing mystical claims. Growth takes time because capability, trust, capital, and systems accumulate gradually. The person who can remain consistent during unremarkable periods has an advantage. This is one reason sleep matters. Exhaustion reduces patience. A tired mind becomes more impulsive, emotionally reactive, and vulnerable to short-term thinking. You are listening to this while preparing for sleep, and that context matters. Financial prosperity should include the ability to rest. If money becomes the reason you never rest, your relationship with money deserves examination. There will be nights when genuine problems keep you awake. Debt can be frightening. Business uncertainty can feel heavy. A family depending on your income can create immense pressure. Jewish faith offers a way of placing that pressure inside a larger spiritual frame. You can take responsibility for tomorrow while allowing tonight to remain tonight. You have finite control. You can plan. You can work. You can ask for help. You can learn. You can pray. You can act. Then the day eventually ends. Carrying the spreadsheet through every hour of the night rarely improves the spreadsheet. Rest restores the mind that will need to make tomorrow's decisions. Before sleep, you can review the day without turning the review into punishment. Ask what you handled well. Ask what needs correction. Ask what you learned. Express gratitude for what supported you. Remember your responsibilities. Then, allow your nervous system to settle. The original material behind this reflection places great emphasis on the mind before sleep. We should approach that idea carefully. Sleep does not magically create money. Listening to words cannot guarantee financial results. Your brain does continue processing memory and learning during sleep in complex ways, and the period before sleep can influence your emotional state. More importantly for our purpose, the thoughts you repeatedly rehearse shape attention, habits, interpretation, and behavior over time. If every night ends with catastrophic financial imagination, tomorrow may begin inside the same fear. If the night ends with a calmer review of values, responsibilities, gratitude, and purposeful action, you may wake more capable of engaging reality. Jewish spiritual practice has long included evening reflection and prayer. The day closes with an opportunity to remember that life is larger than today's balance sheet. You can release the illusion that everything depends on one more hour of anxiety. Trust can coexist with planning. Bitachon, often translated as trust in God, has been explored deeply in Jewish ethical literature. Trust does not give you a license to ignore obligations. It changes the emotional relationship with uncertainty. A person can act responsibly while remembering that complete control was never available. This can reduce the frantic belief that every outcome depends entirely on personal force. The difference becomes visible in the quality of action. Panic narrows attention. Calm expands it. Panic may cause someone to accept a terrible deal because he feels he must act immediately. Calm allows questions. Panic can make a business owner micromanage everyone. Calm allows systems and delegation. Panic can turn market volatility into impulsive buying and selling. Calm reconnects decisions with the original plan. Trust, therefore, has practical consequences even before considering its spiritual meaning. A trusted future gives patience room to operate. Tonight you can allow a simple thought to accompany you. I can act responsibly without carrying the entire universe on my shoulders. There is humility in that sentence. You are responsible for your choices. You are not responsible for controlling every variable. This humility protects success too. When prosperity arrives, the mind easily rewrites history and imagines that every result came from personal brilliance. Success can become dangerous when it creates arrogance because arrogance reduces learning. The person starts assuming his judgment is infallible. He takes larger risks. He ignores criticism. He forgets timing, help, opportunity, health, employees, customers, family support, mentors, and circumstances. Humility keeps feedback alive. You can be proud of disciplined effort while remaining grateful for what was beyond your control. Wealth held with humility often becomes easier to use wisely, because money stops serving as proof of superiority. This relates to the instruction in the title to keep your financial results private. Privacy has several advantages when used intelligently. It protects you from turning wealth into identity. It protects relationships from unnecessary comparison. It reduces pressure to perform success publicly. It can protect generosity from becoming theater. It can help you focus on the purpose of money rather than the reaction to money. There are circumstances where financial transparency is essential. Spouses need honesty. Business partners need accurate information. Tax authorities require reporting. Lenders and investors may require disclosure. Advisors need facts. Privacy should never become secrecy used to deceive people who have legitimate rights to information. The useful form of privacy concerns the audience that has no constructive role. You owe strangers very little information about your net worth. You do not need to post every purchase. You do not need to reveal every gain. You do not need to explain every investment. You do not need to turn your balance sheet into entertainment. Quiet wealth often enjoys freedoms that performative wealth loses. Performative wealth needs maintenance because the image becomes part of identity. Quiet wealth can remain flexible. A wealthy person can drive an ordinary car without experiencing it as failure. He can repeat clothing. He can live in a home below what banks would lend him. He can negotiate. He can say something is too expensive. He can decline an invitation. He can invest rather than display. None of these choices prove wisdom automatically. The freedom to make them without social anxiety is valuable. Social pressure has enormous influence over spending. Human beings are relational creatures. We look around to determine what feels normal. If everyone in your circle leases luxury cars, an ordinary car may begin feeling like deprivation, even when it serves every practical need. If everyone takes expensive vacations, a modest holiday can feel embarrassing. If friends constantly discuss income, brands, neighborhoods, and status, money can become the language through which belonging is negotiated. Choose your environment carefully because normality is contagious. This does not mean abandoning friends with different lifestyles. It means developing enough inner clarity to know which standards belong to you. A healthy social circle can strengthen financial behavior. Friends can share ideas, recommend professionals, introduce opportunities, discuss books, encourage discipline, and normalize responsible choices. Community becomes economically powerful when knowledge circulates. Someone knows an accountant. Someone knows a trustworthy contractor. Someone has experience with a business problem. Someone understands a market. Someone needs the service another member provides. This network creates practical value without turning friendship into exploitation. Reciprocity works best when generosity precedes calculation. Help people because helping people fits your character. Over time, trustworthy people tend to recognize one another. Reputation begins connecting them. This creates opportunities no advertisement could easily reproduce. Think about the last time you hired someone because a trusted person recommended them. That transaction began inside a relationship. Trust traveled from one person to another. The service provider benefited from years of behavior that occurred before he knew you existed. This is one reason every interaction matters. The cashier, junior employee, supplier, assistant, customer with a small account, and person who currently appears unable to help your career, all deserve dignity. Ethical treatment should never depend on perceived usefulness. Ironically, people who practice this consistently often build the strongest networks because others feel the absence of calculation. They know respect will continue even when no deal exists. Jewish wisdom places enormous emphasis on how people conduct themselves with others. Financial life is part of ethical life. A contract does not suspend morality. Negotiation does not suspend dignity. Profit does not erase responsibility. The details vary across legal and religious contexts, yet the principle remains clear. How you earn matters. Imagine reaching financial independence through behavior that leaves you unable to trust anyone, because you assume everyone is as dishonest as you were. The money would have purchased a peculiar form of poverty. Character travels home with you after business ends. Ethical prosperity seeks alignment between the person who earns and the person who lives. This alignment reduces internal conflict. You do not need one personality for business and another for family. You become increasingly integrated. Your word means something. Your agreements matter. Your customers are human beings. Your employees are human beings. Your competitors are human beings. Money moves between lives, and each transaction can be conducted with dignity. There is also wisdom in separating generosity from weakness. Being kind does not require accepting every proposal. A generous employer still needs standards. A compassionate lender still needs judgment. A supportive family member may need boundaries when repeated rescue prevents responsibility. Jewish charity has historically included concern for dignity and, where possible, helping people become more self-sufficient. One of the highest forms of help is assistance that enables someone to stand with greater independence. This carries a profound economic insight. Giving that builds capability can produce more lasting value than giving that repeatedly treats symptoms. Training, employment, introductions, tools, education, temporary support connected with a path forward, and access to opportunity can restore agency. Sometimes immediate aid is essential. Hunger cannot wait for a business plan. Illness cannot be solved with a lecture about independence. Wisdom responds to the real need. When stability returns, empowerment becomes a meaningful goal. The same principle can be applied to yourself. When financial difficulty appears, ask which response solves the immediate problem and which response reduces the chance of recurrence. An emergency fund can solve a car repair today. Increasing savings can reduce future vulnerability. Paying a credit card can reduce interest today. Changing spending patterns can prevent the balance from returning. Finding temporary work can restore cash flow. Developing a better skill can improve future income. Immediate relief and structural improvement belong together. Debt deserves special attention because it changes the relationship between present and future. Borrowing allows today's decision to claim tomorrow's income. Debt can be useful in certain contexts when used carefully for productive purposes or essential needs. Debt can also quietly remove freedom because future choices become constrained by past consumption. High-interest consumer debt is especially dangerous because compounding begins working against you. A purchase enjoyed months ago continues demanding money today. Financial peace often grows when obligations shrink. Paying debt may feel less exciting than investing in something promising, because repayment creates an invisible return through interest avoided and flexibility restored. The psychological return can also be substantial. Each eliminated obligation reduces the number of hands already reaching into next month's income. If you are carrying debt tonight, shame will not help you calculate. Clarity will. List the balances. Understand the rates. Know the minimum payments. Stop creating new debt where possible. Build a repayment strategy suited to your situation. Seek qualified help if necessary. Progress may be slow, yet each payment represents movement toward greater ownership of future income. Quiet progress still counts. You do not need to announce the balance every month. You can let the numbers improve privately. One day the payment that once consumed part of your income disappears, and the same cash flow becomes available for saving, investing, giving, or living. This is how financial transformation often occurs. Existing money changes assignment. A person may believe he needs a dramatically higher income while overlooking hundreds or thousands flowing toward debt, unused subscriptions, unnecessary fees, impulsive consumption, and lifestyle choices that no longer serve him. Increasing income can be powerful. Improving allocation can be powerful too. The strongest strategy often works on both sides. Earn more intelligently and keep more deliberately. Protect the gap. Invest part of the gap. Allow time to work. Investing introduces another Jewish theme that deserves thoughtful treatment: responsibility toward the future. Investment means giving up some present consumption in exchange for the possibility of future growth. Every investment contains risk. There is no honest promise of guaranteed wealth. The responsible investor studies what he owns, understands risk at an appropriate level, diversifies when suitable, avoids commitments he cannot sustain, and resists confusing recent performance with eternal law. Financial markets can trigger ancient human emotions very quickly. Greed says everyone is getting rich without me. Fear says everything will disappear. Pride says I understand more than I do. Envy says I deserve the same return someone posted online. Patience says follow the plan. Humility says uncertainty remains. Discipline says one exciting week does not rewrite the strategy. A calm investor can survive his own emotions more effectively. This may be more valuable than finding one spectacular idea. Avoiding ruin matters because compounding requires survival. A person who repeatedly takes risks capable of destroying his capital may eventually encounter the outcome he believed would never happen. Jewish wisdom's concern with preserving resources fits naturally here. Protecting wealth deserves attention alongside growing it. Emergency savings, insurance where appropriate, diversification, legal planning, careful contracts, cybersecurity, documentation, and avoidance of unnecessary leverage are all forms of protection. They rarely attract admiration. Their purpose becomes obvious when something goes wrong. The same principle applies to health. Your earning capacity partly depends on your ability to function. Chronic exhaustion can become financially expensive. Ignoring health while building wealth can eventually convert wealth into medical spending and lost time. Prosperity deserves a long horizon. Ask whether your current behavior is sustainable for 10 years. If the answer is no, determine what must change before your body or relationships force the change. Sustainable ambition often looks slower and lasts longer. Rhythm matters. There are times to expand and times to consolidate. Times to learn and times to execute. Times to work intensely and times to recover. Times to spend and times to preserve. Times to speak and times to remain quiet. A wise person pays attention to season. Agriculture has always made this obvious because the farmer cannot demand harvest every week. Business has seasons too. Customer demand changes. Industries change. Families change. Your own capacity changes. Refusing to acknowledge season produces frustration. Someone in a building phase compares himself with someone harvesting 30 years of work. Someone caring for a newborn compares productivity with a person living alone. Someone rebuilding after debt compares investments with someone who inherited capital. These comparisons ignore season. Your task is to work responsibly within the season you actually inhabit. Patience becomes easier when the plan reflects reality. If your goal requires 10 years, measuring emotional success every 10 days will create unnecessary suffering. Break long horizons into behaviors you can control. Save the amount. Complete the lesson. Make the call. Improve the product. Serve the customer. Pay the debt. Read the contract. Exercise. Sleep. Give. Review. Repeat. Results emerge from behaviors interacting with circumstances over time. Faith provides steadiness when the outcome remains uncertain. Jewish trust in God does not require pretending that every desired result will occur exactly as imagined. Sometimes the closed door protects you. Sometimes the business fails. Sometimes the investment declines. Sometimes the promotion goes elsewhere. Sometimes plans must change. Trust means your life retains meaning and direction even when one financial plan breaks. This flexibility protects you from identifying destiny with one outcome. You can grieve a loss and remain capable of learning. You can change direction without believing the entire journey was wasted. Experience travels with you. Relationships travel with you. Character travels with you. Skills travel with you. A failed enterprise can leave valuable assets that never appear in bankruptcy documents. This perspective does not romanticize failure. Financial loss can hurt families and create serious consequences. Wisdom simply refuses to waste the pain. Ask what the experience revealed about risk, people, timing, ego, systems, demand, leverage, communication, and yourself. Then carry the lesson forward. Some of the most valuable knowledge is expensive because life charged tuition. Pay once. Learn thoroughly. Repeating the same mistake turns tuition into waste. This is why honest reflection before sleep can become a powerful habit. You can review one financial choice from the day without condemnation. Did I spend according to purpose? Did I work according to priority? Did I communicate honestly? Did I learn something useful? Did I allow comparison to influence me? Did I give appropriately? Did I protect my health? Did I move one step toward greater independence? A few minutes of regular reflection can prevent life from becoming automatic. Automatic behavior is dangerous around money because modern commerce is designed to reduce friction. One click, saved cards, subscriptions, financing, buy now and pay later. Personalized advertising, algorithms learning your desires. Spending has become easier than at almost any previous time. Wisdom, therefore, requires adding intentional friction where technology removes it. Wait before large purchases. Remove saved payment information if impulsivity is a problem. Review subscriptions. Set automatic savings. Create investment rules before emotion arrives. Decide spending boundaries before entering the store. Systems protect you from relying on willpower every day. Jewish law and practice understand the power of structure. Repeated behaviors create a framework within which values become lived reality. Financial systems can serve a similar practical function. If saving depends on remembering at the end of every month, consumption will often win. If saving happens automatically when income arrives, future priorities receive protection. If giving depends on emotion, generosity may become inconsistent. If giving has an intentional place in the budget, the value becomes embodied. If investing happens only when markets feel exciting, emotion controls timing. A consistent process reduces that influence. Structure turns aspiration into routine. Routine frees mental energy. You no longer debate the same question constantly because the important decision was made in advance. This leaves more attention for complex problems that actually require thought. Simplicity has enormous financial power. A person with fewer recurring obligations, fewer unnecessary possessions, fewer debts, clearer accounts, and a straightforward investment plan may experience less financial stress, even with lower income. Complexity creates maintenance. Every object can require storage, repair, insurance, cleaning, attention, replacement, or mental space. Every financial account requires tracking. Every partnership requires communication. Every property requires management. Every business line creates operational demands. Growth can be excellent when the value exceeds the complexity. Simplicity should remain an available option, rather than something abandoned automatically as income rises. The wealthiest choice may occasionally be refusing another asset because you value your attention. Attention is scarce. This returns us to silence. Silence preserves attention. Gossip consumes attention. Endless financial news consumes attention. Constant checking consumes attention. Comparison consumes attention. Defending your plans consumes attention. Attention directed towards skill, relationships, health, family, faith, and useful work can produce lasting returns. You should therefore think of attention as capital. Spend it carefully. Ask which information changes your behavior. A long-term investor may gain little from checking prices 20 times a day. A business owner may gain little from consuming motivational content when the real problem requires calling customers. Someone in debt may gain little from studying advanced investments before controlling spending. Information can become entertainment disguised as progress. Knowledge becomes useful when it enters decisions. Choose a small number of principles and practice them long enough to learn what they actually do. Tonight, perhaps one principle is enough. Give every dollar a purpose, or keep your financial goals private from people whose opinions do not help, or build an emergency reserve, or invest in a skill, or reduce one recurring expense, or begin regular giving, or schedule a conversation with someone wiser, or stop using purchases to perform identity. One principle practiced becomes more valuable than 50 principles admired. Jewish learning often returns to the same texts repeatedly because depth appears through revisiting. Financial wisdom behaves similarly. You may understand a sentence differently after 10 years of experience. Spend less than you earn sounds almost childish. Living it during rising income, social pressure, family demands, inflation, easy credit, and temptation requires mature character. Be honest sounds obvious. Remaining honest when dishonesty could produce a major profit and probably remain hidden reveals whether the principle has entered the person. Give generously sounds beautiful. Giving when your attachment to money is strong reveals what the idea actually means. Trust God sounds comforting. Trust during uncertainty requires deeper work. Knowledge and embodiment are different stages. Tonight you are feeding knowledge. Tomorrow behavior gives it form. A financial life built on wisdom gradually becomes quieter because fewer decisions are emergencies. Savings reduce emergencies. Insurance reduces certain risks. Skill reduces employment vulnerability. Strong relationships create support. Reputation creates opportunity. Moderate living reduces required income. Debt reduction increases flexibility. Faith reduces panic. Gratitude reduces status hunger. Purpose reduces confusion. These elements reinforce one another. Consider what happens when a person reduces lifestyle inflation. Lower expenses allow more savings. More savings create security. Security allows patience. Patience improves negotiation because he can walk away. Better negotiation may improve income or protect him from bad deals. Security can also allow career experimentation or entrepreneurship. One disciplined habit has created several downstream effects. The reverse can happen too. Status spending raises expenses. Higher expenses increase required income. Higher required income reduces freedom to leave a toxic job. Stress increases. Sleep declines. Poor sleep harms decision-making. Impulsive decisions create additional spending. Financial systems are interconnected. Seek leverage in the habits that improve several areas simultaneously. Health is one. Sleep is one. Learning is one. Saving is one. Integrity is one. Choosing relationships carefully is one. These habits create multiple returns. The same thinking can guide business. Improve customer trust and retention may rise, referrals may rise, acquisition costs may fall, employee pride may rise, and pricing power may improve. Develop a better system and errors may decline, training may become easier, delegation may improve, and the owner's time may be freed. Wealth is often produced by systems that generate several benefits from one improvement. Look for these points of leverage rather than scattering effort everywhere. Scattered effort creates the sensation of hard work without concentrated progress. This is where working intelligently matters. Choose the constraint. What currently limits growth? Perhaps there are too few customers. Perhaps margins are weak. Perhaps operations cannot handle more demand. Perhaps your skill is limiting income. Perhaps debt absorbs cash flow. Perhaps your health limits energy. Perhaps fear prevents necessary conversations. Solve the actual constraint. Adding effort somewhere else may create very little. The human tendency is to work hardest where we already feel competent because competence feels good. Growth often requires entering the uncomfortable area where the bottleneck lives. A business owner may love selling and avoid accounting. Revenue rises while cash disappears. Another may love product development and avoid selling. The product improves while nobody knows it exists. Another may love strategy and avoid difficult employee conversations. The organization becomes heavy. Wisdom directs attention toward reality rather than preference. Financial numbers can become compassionate teachers because they remove some ambiguity. Cash flow tells a story. Profit tells a story. Debt tells a story. Savings tell a story. Customer retention tells a story. These numbers deserve interpretation rather than worship. A profitable decision can still violate values. An unprofitable activity can still be worthwhile if its purpose is charitable, educational, relational, or spiritual. The point is to know which game you are playing. Confusion occurs when a business is treated like charity without admitting it, or charity is run with no concern for stewardship because profit is absent. Clear purpose allows clear measurement. If the purpose is profit, understand profitability. If the purpose is impact, understand impact. If the purpose is family enjoyment, understand the cost and choose consciously. Money becomes peaceful when it stops pretending to be every value at once. There are things money measures well and things it barely measures at all. It can measure the price of a meal and cannot measure the quality of the conversation. It can pay tuition and cannot guarantee wisdom. It can buy a house and cannot create a loving home. It can fund medical care and cannot guarantee health. It can purchase convenience and cannot create meaning. The danger begins when money becomes the universal scoreboard. Then every person with more money appears superior, and every person with less appears inferior. Jewish thought strongly resists reducing human greatness to wealth. Scholarship, righteousness, wisdom, kindness, courage, family responsibility, and service occupy moral territory money cannot purchase. This protects the wealthy person as much as the poor person. The wealthy person needs protection from believing money makes him greater. The person with fewer resources needs protection from believing money makes him less. Both distort identity. When identity is clear, money can return to its proper role as a tool. You can then ask a beautifully practical question. What can this tool accomplish? Perhaps the answer today is paying rent. There is dignity in that. Perhaps it is buying groceries. There is dignity in that. Perhaps it is investing. Perhaps it is giving. Perhaps it is funding a business. Perhaps it is creating a reserve so your family can sleep peacefully. Prosperity begins to feel grounded because ordinary responsibilities regain importance. There is no need to turn every financial goal into a fantasy of extreme riches. Financial peace can begin long before extraordinary wealth. A person who earns enough, spends deliberately, has manageable obligations, keeps reserves, invests for the future, gives, sleeps well, and has time for people he loves, may possess a form of wealth that someone earning 10 times more still lacks. This does not make higher income undesirable. It gives higher income a purpose. If more arrives, the structure can expand wisely. Giving can expand. Investing can expand. Security can expand. Opportunity can expand. Lifestyle may expand too within reason. The person remains master of allocation. Income does not automatically dictate consumption. This freedom is central. Financial independence ultimately means choice. Choice about work. Choice about time. Choice about emergencies. Choice about generosity. Choice about leaving harmful situations. Choice about pursuing meaningful projects. Money creates optionality when preserved. This is why unnecessary consumption has an invisible cost beyond the price. It consumes future options. $20 once means little. Repeated thousands of times, habits become destiny. The same is true of saving. One deposit may feel insignificant. Repeated for years, it becomes freedom. Never despise small beginnings. Jewish history is filled with practices sustained through repetition and transmission. Financial habits gain power through the same human mechanism. Small actions become cultural when families repeat them. Imagine a household where children regularly hear calm conversations about money. Parents explain trade-offs without panic. Giving is normal. Saving is normal. Learning is normal. Debt is discussed honestly. Wealth is neither worshipped nor demonized. Work is respected. Family time is protected. Children see adults decline unnecessary purchases without embarrassment. They see generosity without performance. They see mistakes acknowledged. That household is transmitting far more than financial techniques. It is transmitting a relationship with money. Decades later, the children may not remember specific conversations. They may simply feel that responsible money behavior is normal. This is one reason intergenerational wisdom matters. Wealth can be inherited and disappear quickly when capability is absent. Capability can survive even after money disappears because it helps rebuild. The greatest financial inheritance may therefore include habits, judgment, education, character, and networks alongside assets. Teach children how decisions are made. Let them understand work. Let them experience waiting. Let them earn some things. Let them give. Let them see money used to help. Let them understand that family wealth carries responsibility. Protect them from entitlement because entitlement separates reward from value. A child who believes resources exist automatically may never develop the capability that created them. Wealth without responsibility can weaken the next generation. Wealth with education can expand what previous generations built. The same applies if you did not receive financial education. You can become the generation that begins it. There is no need to resent the childhood you had. You can learn now. The first budget can happen now. The first investment can happen now. The first debt payment can happen now. The first honest family conversation can happen now. The first deliberate act of giving can happen now. The first book can be read now. You cannot change when the lesson arrived. You can decide what happens after it arrives. This attitude transforms regret into responsibility. The person listening tonight may be 20 years old or 70 years old. Principles still apply, while tactics will differ. A young person may have time and limited capital. An older person may have capital and limited time. Someone with children has different responsibilities from someone without them. Someone recovering from financial crisis needs a different plan from someone managing significant wealth. Wisdom respects context. Beware of universal prescriptions that pretend one allocation fits everyone. The 5 jars or categories sometimes used to teach children can illustrate principles, yet adult percentages should reflect real circumstances. Giving, saving, investing, emergencies, obligations, and spending all require judgment. The deeper habit is intentional allocation. Intentionality is freedom practiced before temptation appears. It tells money where to go before emotion makes the decision. You can apply this tomorrow. When income arrives, pause before it disappears into the stream of life.